Hi, I'm Ashley Kading. Today I'll be sharing some information with you about the retirement home search project and how that's been going. So last time I had shared some information after I had met with the main owner of the house and the main person looking for the retirement home in about 9 or 10 years. And I got some really great information from her, and I've kind of put that now together into a compiled list, and I'm looking at places that she could potentially move to for her retirement. So today I just kind of want to share with you what I have compiled and a potential location that I have found. Right. So just to recap kind of what the user is looking for. The owner wants a home that has private beach access, space to host visitors, easy access to small town amenities, and they want to be able to travel there within a half day from the U.S. And there's another owner and occupant of the home, and they will also be retiring there in about that 9-year time frame. There will also be many visitors at the home, and they would like their own space to stay, and it would be nice if they could be within an hour or two of an airport so that it's easy to get there and that same half-day travel from the U.S. So some of the more specifics that the owners are looking for, as far as location goes, they're really looking for a location that has a European-based government, doesn't have a lot of crime, and has a already well-established expatriate community. And they're, again, looking for that location that's within a half-day flight of the U.S. because they would like to vacation there prior to moving there once they retire. And once they do retire there, they want their visitors to be able to get there relatively easily, which also means that the home needs to be within about 2 hours of a major airport so that the flight and the drive time back to the house aren't too long for them to travel there. And then they would also like a lot of cool hiking places, and they'd like to be able to drive there within 3 hours. So keeping that in mind when picking a location. The owner's also looking for kind of a small town area that has, a variety of restaurants and maybe beach bars that they could walk to from their house, or that they could maybe bike to. And then while the owner is looking for a private beach area, they will be going to public beaches as well. So having close public beaches, maybe not that they can walk to, but that they could bike or scooter to. Or if they're a little farther, they would take their car then there as well. And then really getting into some of the actual home details, they have a budget of $350,000 to $450,000. So the property needs to stay within that budget. And they really want that private beach access with clear water because they, want their own space. They don't mind if neighbors cross over that space to get to and from their home, but they don't really want people hanging out on their own beach area, so they want their own space. And then the home needs that separate studio guest house for the visitors that will be coming, and most of the time there will be 2 adults and a child, so there would need to be enough space for them. And they also don't want to be too close to the neighbors because, again, they want that private area for themselves. And at least one of the owners will be doing some part-time work from home, so they need to be located in an area that has good Wi-Fi capability, that they could get that at their house. And then because they're going to have visitors quite often, the main living area needs to be able to fit 8 to 10 people comfortably. And it will just be the 2 of them living there full time, so they really only need 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom. And they don't mind if it's on the 1st or 2nd floor. But then, because they have that awesome private beach area, they're going to need lots of big windows and sliding glass doors that open up to that beach area so that they can look out all the time and have easy access to get outside to that space. And then as far as being outdoors, they're not going to be spending more than like 2 or 3 times a week going out to eat. So they're going to do a lot of cooking at home, and that means a lot of grilling for them. So they will need kind of an outdoor grill area, and they want to be able to grow a lot of their own food. So they're also going to need an area that's large enough to have a garden. And they also currently have a dog, and will hopefully still have a dog when they move to this retirement home. So they're going to need a yard that's large enough to have all of those things: their grilling area, the dog, and an awesome gardening space. And because they do have their private beach access as well as close by public beaches, they're going to need some type of storage area to hold all of their beach accessories, paddle boards, and other beach items that you don't want in your home closet because they can get a little sandy. And because they will have a car, they're thinking that they will probably need a carport to store that under. So just looking at what a potential home could look like. This was just a concept that I found that shows all of these awesome windows and sliding glass doors in the back that look out onto your private beach area. And what I also found is that some homes, especially right by the water, are built up relatively high, and a lot of people use that space underneath as their carport. So you wouldn't need that extra structure on the side. And then, going back to some of those requirements that they had, this model will help them kind of decide what works for them and what doesn't. So looking at what types of locations would be acceptable, and does it meet all of their criteria that I had mentioned before. And then after you choose that, that city location, you really need to get into what neighborhood should the home be located in. So that's where you get into some of those other requirements that were more community-based. So the well-established expatriate community. Is there a lot of great things within walking distance or biking distance? And are there some community activities that go along with that? And then once you pick those 2 locations, then it really gets into a home, right? So looking at, does the homes that have been found have all of those requirements that they're looking for? That would make the home function well for them. So then looking at kind of who's going through this process, it would be myself functioning as the realtor, and then the owners, and then visitors as well. So really, as far as the process goes for finding homes and showing homes, that's really my job, as well as helping to close on a home in the future. And then the owner really has the job of choosing a home, and then paying for the home, closing on the home, and then they get to be the ones to travel to the home and to live in the home. And those visitors also get to travel to that home. So I had found a location in Portugal called Nazaré, Portugal. And as you can see by the pictures, it looks very nice. I would love to live here. And definitely has that nice clear water that they're looking for. And it really looks like a well-established community. And it meets a lot of the requirements. So let's get into some of those details about this location. So for the location, some thoughts that I had on the house. I found some just kind of floor plan mock-ups here that kind of show what they're looking for. So that when we're looking for a house in that location, we kind of have something to base it off of. So just as an example, this one here has that really nice open concept with the dining and the living room and the kitchen. That could easily fit those 8 to 10 people. And then it has a really nice sliding door system in the back here that goes out onto the porch. That would then lead out to their private beach area. and it also has that bedroom and bathroom that they're looking for right on that first floor with everything else. And then the other picture that I have here is just a floor plan on what the studio apartment could potentially look like. Has a small living room, 2 bedrooms to fit those 2 adults and a child, a bathroom and laundry area, and then a kitchen of some sort. It doesn't need to be a full kitchen, but just something so that they can store some food and potentially cook a little bit in there. So the location does meet their requirement. It's about a 10-hour flight from Chicago to Lisbon, and then Lisbon is just about an hour and a half south of Nazare. So definitely falls within that half-day and 2-hour drive requirement that they're looking for, and should be a pretty easy access to get to. And I won't read all of these to you, but I found this really awesome article. People who live in Nazare and have traveled there, talking about the what it's like to really retire here as an expatriate, and some of the things that they were saying just sounded very very desirable and like a location to go. It's surprisingly affordable, and there's already a really well established expatriate presence there, and it's a relatively small community, so it's easy to get around on foot, as well as bike, and there's also some local bus and taxi services. And it's a pretty central location. It's right in the middle of the coastline in Portugal, so it's easy to get to other places from there. And there's some really nice markets and a lot of good cafes and other restaurants within that walking distance of the community center. And then I found a really cool hiking location that is just a little under a 2-hour drive from Nazare, and it's called Serra da Lusa. And it's got a lot of different hiking trails, and this wasn't by any means the only hiking availability close by. It was just one of the many that I had found, but it looked like a pretty cool one. So that location really seems like it meets many of the owner's requirements, and kind of getting into that process of what it looks like to purchase the home. Really the request had come to me, and I had met with the owner prior to this to kind of get some information out of them of really what they're looking for. And then I, had started looking for some homes and some locations, and really the process is just go back and forth until you find something that works, and ask some clarifying questions if I needed more information. And then once you're able to find a neighborhood and find a home within that neighborhood that meets what they need, then really getting feedback from the owner on those options, having them select a home, and then starting the closing process for that home. And once you're able to close on that home, then they get to move in and they get to travel there, and in a few years they get to live there. And if they would choose to sell that home or sell the current home that they live in, the process is really similar. The request would come to me that they want to sell their home, and I would really get information about their home that they have, and then create a listing from there. And then once there are some interested people, I would set up some showings so that they could come and look at it. And then if someone would choose to buy it, we'd create the offer documents, and if those are acceptable, we would prepare for that same closing. And then once we close on the home, it would be time for the owners to move out and pass that home on to someone else. So overall, I think Nazare, Portugal would be a great location. It really meets the requirements, and I hope that it is everything that they're going to be looking for.